There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Portugal Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and Slow Down Carl podcast. Good morning to you this morning. It is one of those months where we have 5 Thursdays, so no scheduled guest, no regular co-host this morning. Perhaps you can step into the breach, a bit of a free-for-all then on this Quinta-feira, the 31st, last day of August today, and the energy, the vibe here in San Martino de Porto, palpable. As the holiday season comes to an end. And it's interesting driving through town. It was quieter at the meetup yesterday. Lovely meetup yesterday. Quite a nice smattering of new friends and some regulars as well. So it was lovely to see you there, meet you there yesterday afternoon, and a lovely afternoon. Great to meet you, Christina and John in Caldas. Lovely home you have there. So great to see you. Yesterday, beautiful day. The gym before the meetup, and I'm actually feeling it a little bit. When I say I'm feeling it this morning, you know what I mean. Feeling the after effects. Sorry if you spat your morning beverage. Then who doesn't like to feel it first thing in the morning? I am, yes, feeling a little bit fatigued by my exertions. I don't know if I've said this on I think it was probably on the Instagram where I'm tracking my. Hoped for improvements of what's going on with my body and the benefits actually that extend to my mind as well from doing this program with trainer Henry. But I was talking about working to failure on the Instagram, a concept of pushing yourself to your limits. With the first few times after I began to sat around the right way on the gym equipment. I did that. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I realized I was sat facing the wrong way on a piece of gym kit. And what's the first thing a human being does when they realize they're sitting the wrong way on a piece of gym equipment? They have a quick look around the room, don't they, to see if anyone's watching. I actually did that. And then I felt a prize plonker. No, and sat around the right way, and I'm getting used to it. And part of getting used to it and moving on in my learning curve, steep learning curve of being in the gym, is this idea of not just doing 10 reps easily. Oh, that's good. That was easy. But actually pushing it to failure, working to failure. I don't know if that's the correct phrase, but you get the gist of the idea. And like so many things I'm learning in the gym, it's transferable. It works in life, doesn't it? Some might say I've been working to failure all my life, but in the way that it's become in entrepreneurial circles and startup culture, plan to fail. Not plan to fail. Allow yourself to fail, and in that way you find your limits. And the cliches about no millionaires and billionaires have ever got there without a few failures along the way. So absolutely feeling that on all sorts of levels in the gym, of how it's good to go to the limit of not being able to go on anymore, and feeling it a little bit this morning. Oh, visual dad joke. Thank you, James. Thank you, Deagle. Thank you, Pete, for being here. Antonio, no, he's not even here yet, but Rosa Chairs knows what I'm talking about. Leela's back again as well. It's lovely to have you as part of the community, Leela. Thank you for being here. Filomena, hola, bon dia, alegria. Don't forget, today is the last day to save some money and book the fantastic Chistenberau trip with a discount. So we'll have a look at that as well. Good call on that, Filomena. I just found the lovely mug you made for me. I'm going to have a row of mugs behind me. They've become a little, to me, collectible. And I think I've got 3 or 4 variants of the Good Morning Portugal mug now. Get yours at Shopify, at our Shopify shop online, or our YouTube channel is quite a good way to get yourself a a GMP mug, the new one with Be Portuguese about it as well. So as you look at it, you're the world. If you drink right-handed, if the world sees from their side, Good Morning Portugal, and you see a little in joke with yourself, you see facing you, Be Portuguese about it on the other side of the mug. So yeah, hola, bom dia, alegria. Don't forget today, it's the last day to save some money and book the fantastic schist and Beirão trip with a discount, where we'll be going to look at schist villages, central Portugal, and a visit to the Beirão nectar nursery on that same trip, on a fantastic Charabanc trip. The boat, no boats involved. The bus will pick us up in Caldas de Rainha at a meeting point to be decided. So you can leave your car in Caldas, get on the bus, and start singing the wheels on the bus go round and round. In Portuguese, of course, as part of the day. And maybe, Philomena, you can help us with the translation of the wheels on the bus go round and round, and we'll sing that, and then you can test us when we get there. I thought I was doing the ticker tape. Actually, I was writing a comment to myself on the screen, so let me read it out. Hola, bom dia, alegria. Join us today as we look at the latest news in Portugal and answer some of those big questions that have been left hanging there from our daily Portugal quiz. Original music too from Peter Farry in the UK. An old mate, Peter Farry, known Peter from my days in Exeter, a great musician. I have referred to him previously as the love child, the musical love child of Gilbert O'Sullivan and Victoria Wood. I don't think he was entirely unhappy about that. Plus, of course, your comments, questions, and suggestions on WhatsApp, 913-590-303. And in the comments, of course, as we've been seeing this morning, Antonio is in. Thank you for yesterday's help with the pronunciation. As you can see, getting in touch with the show by audio message is fantastic. Although I have to say, I might have to vet those and some of the comments a little more judiciously at the moment. There's a little bit of what I think actually is a little bit of nastiness creeping in. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Rosa Chairs. I don't know if I'm guessing you were Ophelia Ball and Alan Partridge as well recently. And having a little bit of what's feeling like a dig. If your intention, Rosa Chairs, was to unsettle and hurt, it's worked, quite honestly. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how that goes. You know, how we like to roll here is to be nice to each other and model the kind of world we'd like to live in. And I'm pretty open, I think, with receiving comments, as long as they are kind and respectful and lawful. And I got just getting a feeling with Rosa Chairs. I don't know what's going on with you psychologically, and hurts from childhood, that sort of thing. But it just seems to be going into a little bit of sneeriness, nastiness. I mean, really, really smart, very intelligent, but I'm just feeling a little bit, that's actually not very nice. I don't know how it occurs to you, Rosa Chairs. Or do you want to man up and use your own name and have a chat about what's going on for you? I'm just wondering. Deep thought then this morning. If you can't explain something to a first-year student, then you haven't really understood. Yes, it's a great test, isn't it, of comprehension, whether you can articulate something yourself, believing to have understood it, and then articulate it to someone else. And Richard Feynman's benchmark for that is you need to be able to share it satisfactorily, presumably, to a first-year student. Feynman, of course, credited with pioneering in the field of quantum computing. The field of quantum computing, it does sound like an album from the 80s, doesn't it? And introducing the concept of nanotechnology. The Canes Sabia today, thank you to the wise men of the Gunpocalypse, assembled as they were a little later than normal because I hadn't actually created a show this morning. That's how much I enjoyed myself. It did go a little bit to cock, so to speak, yesterday afternoon and evening. Just had a really nice leisurely time, a nice dinner, a little bit too late for my liking and my new schedule, but a lovely dinner, and then to bed, managing kind of to keep up the good levels of sleep. Getting to bed at a fairly reasonable hour. Those midnight and 1 o'clock bedtimes have been corrected, and getting up earlier as well, drinking the water, spending time in the sunshine. Recommend these things to everybody, and I'm sure Coach Turner will as well. So how's it going? If you pledged seeing pictures of my pot belly and man boobs to do something for yourself and your health, do let us know how it's going. And I'm anticipating something of a wall and a crash. I think it's quite normal in these circumstances to go gung-ho for the first week or so and then reach, as you know, no one really cared anyway, did they? But as no one appears to care anymore after you're into your second week and no one's interested in talking about it anymore with you, that's when I think the loneliness of the metaphorical long distance runner kicks in, and there you are thinking, can I do this? Yes, you can. Let me say that to you. Yes, you can. If you set yourself a target. I mean, there's Phil in the UK plodding away, literally. I don't know what sort of pace he likes to keep up, but Phil took on doing 1,700,000 steps, raising some dough for Diabetes UK, and just doing the most extraordinary thing, setting a target and going for it, wearing shoes out, creating massive blisters, and lots of upside, lots of amazing upside. I'd like to talk to him again soon. Oh, well, we will do. We talk to him every month, don't we? About the progress he's making, of course, but also how it's changing him. An ordeal, which is what it is, I'm sure, at times. And goal of that scale must bring some personal insight and revelation as well. So looking forward to talking to Big Phil soon about that again, and finding out more about where he's got to with his cash target, raising money for diabetes in the UK, walking 1,700,000 steps. The Kane Sabia then today. Oh, I was saying, wasn't I? Yeah, thank you to the wise men of the Gumpocalypse who were in early, but not as early as, see, Rosa Chairs was in early. Seems to have, should we see if we can figure out who this person is? Because they seem to have a pretty good working knowledge of the show. They seem a little bit jilted and hurt. There's this kind of sneery tone creeping into their comments. They're really very clever, and they do show a really good working knowledge of the show. But not, I'm guessing at a stage now where that person wouldn't say who they are. There's I don't know, it just sounds like someone who's a little bit upset with us, possibly cry for help sort of stuff, as well as some very well written comments as well, the sort I love, except when I feel like me and our community might be the recipient of that negativity. The Kane Sabia then. Media in Portugal includes radio, TV, newspapers, and magazines. In the 20th century, the Portuguese government censored the media until 76, until the Constitution of 76 guaranteed freedom of the press. That's amazing, isn't it? I guess there was a lot going on after the Carnation Revolution, political processes, things to be settled. And I don't think it was just suddenly easy times for people come 1974, let's say come May of 1974. There was a lot to figure out, wasn't there? And years of repression and a certain way of being that was unburdened and relieved in the collective consciousness. And not until the 1976 Constitution, these things take time, don't they, when it's a country working towards its new way of being. Freedom of the press in Portugal, 1976. The top 5 most read newspapers in Portugal in the first quarter of 2023. Number 1, Expresso. Number 2, Público. I can say Expresso there, can't I? With a bit more of an emphasis on the X or Gish, because we're not talking about coffee. Espresso if it's coffee. Expresso perhaps. Espresso if you're talking about the media outlet. Público. Number 2, Correio de Manhã. Some people would say it's number 2. Público. Number 3, Correio de Manhã. Number 4, Jornal de Notícias. And 5, Record. Top 5 most read magazines. These will be banked at learnaboutportugal.com. Thank you, T-Duck, for these. Top 5 most read magazines in Portugal in the first quarter of 2023. Maria. I have never seen that, but that makes so much sense, doesn't it? That's a Portuguese magazine, probably in the hello style. Maria. Number 2 is TV Set, TV7. Oh, TV Set Dias, 7 days. So presumably that's the Radio Times. And what's the other one that we had in the UK? Radio Times. I can't remember the independent commercial one. My goodness, it's just completely escaped my mind. We can make that a feature. What's that word that I'm trying to think of? Or what's that thing I can't remember? 3, Nova Gente. I've not seen that easier. Vision, of course, I have seen. We still got that picture of Jackie on the cover. Jackie, of course, from Expats Portugal, joins us every Wednesday. She was great yesterday, even though she still got problems with her microphone. Not with her microphone. She was fine on the microphone. She has problems with her camera. She joined us, and she was a cover star on Vision. And number 5, cinco, is TV Times. That was the other one. Learning from the Portuguese prompt there. No, I already said that, didn't I? TV Times. What was the commercial independent one? Please help those of you who grew up in the UK. Radio Times and TV Times. That's it, isn't it? TV Guia, TV Guide. Thank you very much, T-Duck. Then it continues. However, the Cane Sabia, the top 5 most listened to radio stations in Portugal in June 2023. Number 1, Radio Comercial. 2 is RFM, and M80. Where they put on all those fantastic voices on the radio. Number 4 is Radio Renascença. These you would. Oh, and I was going to say, it looks like the commercial ones are the most listened to. Antena I believe, and RTP are the state broadcasters. And they don't figure so highly, do they, in the rankings there? That tends to go, it would appear, to the commercial offerings on the radio. Who listens to Portuguese radio here as a way of learning Portuguese? And which one do you listen to? I like Antena 3, if I remember correctly. Antena 3 has a little bit more indie and dance music on it. Antonio might. Antonio! Yeah, Rosa, cheers. Antonio might have a guide to us on the antenna offerings and what they specialize in. That would be quite helpful. Antena 1, 2 and 3. And the top 5 most viewed television channels in Portugal in July of 2023. Number 1 was SIC, number 2, TVI, and 3, RTP1, and 4 would be CMTV. That's my own TV channel right there. And 5, CNN came out of nowhere, didn't they? But with their weight and level of brainwashing and propaganda, I suppose you could say. I mean, they're all guilty of that, aren't they, to some extent? But CNN are a special kind, are they not, of coverage everywhere you go. Gymnasiums, airports, restaurants, now cafes. There's just something about CNN being so overwhelming and ubiquitous that at that point, that's what market share is about, isn't it? At that point, it tends to dominate, and only arrived in Portugal. Oh, I thought it was more recent than that. November 2021, less than 2 years ago. But I imagine the CNN executives, I was going to say they're happy with that, but they won't be happy, will they, until they're number 1. Whale oil beef hooked, as we Irish like to say. Yes, read that a few times and it will sink in. And dad jokes that I'm squirreling away until the end of the show. Thank you very much, T-Duck, for those. They've been very good recently. And yeah, those other comments from Rosa shares that I just can't quite go there. Very well crafted. But yeah, like I say, just getting to, that's not very nice, is it? That point in humor, valid as it is in humor. I'm not saying people shouldn't make jokes of any kind, but it's all about context and the right place for them, isn't it? Banana Slug, bom dia todos, feliz quinta. Okay, tem feito from BS Ann. As quickly sneaking in a dad joke from James. Why Iron Man and not, very woke dad joke, a dad woke joke there possibly. Why Iron Man and not female? Very good, very good. See what you did there. Or Hemo and Hero for that matter. So your own material, Banana Slug. James, thank you very much for that. Somebody who's lost their marbles but found their Marbella. That's not a tourist slogan for that part of Spain, is it? And sorry, Coach Turner, to make you the butt of that. Bon dia Gumpers from a sunny Marbella. Yesterday's trip was relatively trouble-free given the disruption of the past few days. And a fabulous dinner last night of sardines and Spanish pork. Just saying Spanish pork actually makes my mouth water a little bit, I have to say. And it is I can't say that because it will be too much of a clue for the Portugal quiz question of the day, which we will go to ultimately. And we will be looking. What I realize is with the Portugal quiz, I ask lots of questions, a bit like the show, really. Ask lots of questions, but only answer a few of them. So we'll go back and we'll do a few of the answers on the Portugal quiz, which we do every weekday over there at learnaboutportugal.com, which it's been a while now. It's been a few weeks. It's time for a remix over there. They're doing amazing stuff at school.com, which is our platform of choice. It's not a meta platform. We do our learnaboutportugal.com as you can see scrolling across the screen. We do our Learn About Portugal.com community platform on School, SKOOL. I'm really impressed with Sam Ovens and his team and the technology they're providing for us. And I'm going to be tinkering again soon. God's God tip of the day. I was inspired by Carl discussing the limited quantity of cashews he was allowed on his diet. I could eat loads of cashews, but then I think I'd only be eating cashews, basically, Ian. It occurred to me that few of us know how much we should eat to stay healthy. It's true, isn't it? It is true. And that's what this measurement, this flipping measurement thing is all about. Although I've nailed breakfast, it just goes really off-piste and ragged towards the end of the day. So perhaps I'll take the step of measuring my lunch today. As boring as that sounds to me anyway, and probably to you too, to be fair. This is exactly what you're talking about, I think, this morning, Coach T. So my tip for today is to find out exactly what you're eating, so you have an idea of what the ideal meal is. Yeah, and that's absolutely right, Coach T. I have found out now what an ideal breakfast is, according to my advisor anyway, which is well corroborated by other sources I refer to. And more importantly, it seems to be working. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It seems to be working. Could I explain it to a first-year student yet? I think I could begin to. So the tip for today, the God Squad tip of the day then, is to find out, so you have an idea of what the ideal meal is. Presumably, I mean, if I may, Coach Ten, I would extend that to the ideal breakfast, the ideal lunch, and the ideal dinner. And the context for dinner might be to pull it further forward, so to speak. Who doesn't like to? Into the evening, and eat earlier. And I know it's difficult, isn't it, in Portugal, for sure, but eat earlier and maybe go into resting your guts and metabolism, and then have a good sleep and an evening without too much food. I think that the general consensus is that that's not a bad idea. So I keep interrupting Coach Turner's tip of the day here. So my tip for today is to find out, so you have an idea of what the ideal is, then work around that. I'm no great fan of strict diets, but having a feel for the right balance will help you manage better. So true. I can definitely corroborate that. And who am I to corroborate you and your expertise? But just from my own experience, not a meteorologist, climatologist, virologist, or economist, and neither am I a health and fitness expert. But from my own experience, what you say has that ring of truth to it. This morning, thank you, Coach Turner, for that. We will look at the headlines of the English-speaking Portuguese news outlets as well, not mentioned in T-Duck's summaries, of course, because they are the expat, foreigner, and immigrant aimed, focused news outlets in English, of course, the Portugal News and the Portugal Resident. Look at this, €300 fine for middle lane drivers. That might come as a welcome bit of news to some people, although I think, how long do you think it's going to take? We'll have a look at that story in a little while. How long do you think it's going to take for that fine, or the idea of a fine, to change driving behavior for those who sit in the middle lane? I wonder. And there might be people here even saying, well, what's wrong with sitting in the middle lane? Perhaps those of you who find it irritating could let the others know who do sit in the middle lane why it's a problem to you. It's a habit I learned from my father. To be very irritated with people sitting in the middle lane, until I realized I'm just channeling my daddy. I don't need to do this. I will take other action rather than tailgating them and flashing my lights behind them. No need for that. It just causes extra stress on the roads, and nobody needs to be doing that here. No property crash on the horizon. A bit of opinion, I suspect, unless they've got a really good crystal ball. No property crash on the horizon. That's in the Portugal News. I think we'll look at that as well. And great to see that above average temperatures have been predicted for the autumn here in Portugal. And Woody Allen coming to Lisbon. Houses for sale at 30% below market value. Well, where's that happening? We'll find out later on. Invoices win prizes. They're pushing. I believe that's the, if you validate your faturas, as it were, then you might be in for a chance to not only win a car, but maybe other prizes. We need to look at that, as well as possibly Bollywood comes to Portugal. Live music, not live music, original music from Peter Farry in UK, Devon in the UK, and an ode to trees. I think you'll like it. the original music that we're sharing. Thanks to Peter Farry. I am so pleased and delighted and grateful that I seem to know more than my fair share of very gifted musicians who are also happy to share their work with us. And we've got a bit of a heads up. We've got a bit of a preview on the track In the Woods with Peter Farry. Because it's not even on Spotify yet. Although I'll show you. I'll send you the link in the comments on how to if you love the tune and you might want to pre-register your interest in it. Didn't even know you could do this until yesterday. You can get a pre-release notification or a release notification on Spotify, which is some new bit of software that's been set up so that you can support an artist that way as well by getting excited about their release on Spotify, for which they'll get the princely sum of 0.00001 cent or pence for their efforts. It's a tricky thing being a creator of original music, I think, these days. So let's support Peter and have a listen to his tune. And perhaps if you love it, if you like it like I do, and John Clark and Wildflowers and all the other wonderful people who've allowed us to premiere their music or preview their music here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Yeah, we will go and have a look at the Discover Portugal tour, Xiste and Barão, I beg your pardon, with Filomena Pascoal. Tia Filomena, of course, that trip on the 6th of October. But I don't think I went there to tell you that. I got distracted. I think I was going to the Portugal Resident front page because we're going to be reviewing some of these articles as well. Government in Portugal accused of having made no effort since the start of Ukraine war to apply sanctions. We may or may not go into that. Talking of the woods and forests and lovers of trees, as I know many are in this community, nature certainly, and that I'm sure would extend to a love of trees. Garvo, James, I'm thinking of. Citizens mobilize against the giant risk of eucalyptus. That, in inverted commas, a quote, giant risk of eucalyptus threatening Portugal's forests. I think we should look at that. Portugal's armed forces preparing to revise height stipulations for new recruits. I wonder what that's about. Is that the height limit or the anticipated height for entry into the army being raised or lowered? I wonder. Excessive unmonitored water extraction killing a precious mountain river. So some interesting environmental stories as well. Articles, don't like to use the word stories, although everything's a story, isn't it, in one sense? And oh dear, horrible road rage incident in Quarteira. That's horrible. I don't think we need to go there. And President Marcelo schedules a 4-day official visit to Canada. Watch out, Canada, as he steps forward to shake the hands of Canadian officials or grab them around the neck or whatever he's planning to do. What do you think would be the best way for Marcelo, our beloved president here, to greet a Canadian? We've got the handshake. We've got the neck pull. What would be a uniquely Canadian way of greeting people? Cheers, Coach Turner, for your tip of the day, your God Score tip of the day today. Bon dia todos from Antonio James. And bon dia, Carl and Gumpus from a fresh Belfast. Should be mid-teens today before a scorcher, 4 to 5 days. What's a scorcher in Belfast? 22 degrees, I think. We'll be living outdoors, enjoying sunshine, blue skies, and Sunday might be 22 degrees. Two little ducks, 22 degrees. Yes, of course. Little reference there, shouting across the water. Morning to you, Deagle. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, because I haven't got it on my ticker tape. The ticker tape is saying support Good Morning Portugal and learn loads about Portugal at learnaboutportugal.com. Thank you to everybody who does put their hand in their pocket. Not only that, I mean, people find all sorts of wonderful ways to support the community. And of course, it really helps in this world of money. If you'd like to support us in the community, learnaboutportugal.com. You'll find links there of ways of helping us. And a school have just actually put a money button over there, so you can support us via school as well now, which is fantastic. In dollars, you can pay $10 a month to support Good Morning Portugal. Actually, if I switch that on now, I can do that behind the scenes. I can switch it on. So if anybody does want to support the show this morning, I think with a few clicks, it's good. It's very good tech, isn't it? When you can go to something and do it in 2 or 3 clicks, which I've just done. So I've set up $10. If you want to support us, in dollars, which I know is some people I think have been reluctant to support us in euros. We have a €9 support level, and for what we do with people with the Portugal Club, that's 49 euros. And now it would appear over on learnaboutportugal.com. Let us know if you want to do that, what your user experience is like. There is a $10 way of supporting the show. And do you know what I think Sam's also done? I think he's put a ka-ching sound effect when somebody signs up. And because I've just done that on this PC that I'm using to broadcast, that ka-ching could actually happen live on the show. That's only come to mind. It sounds like I've set that up, but that can be done, I think, and we'll find out if somebody signs up this morning. If everybody signs up this morning, the Milky Bars are on me. No, I won't waste it like that. Antonio from Banana Slug, and Bon dia from the Global Nobles. Good morning to you. Lovely to see you. And thanks, Greg, for your correspondence. Really appreciate that. People hear little things during the show, and they I'll get in touch with Munson about that. Really appreciate that. Carl at goodmorningportugal.com if you want to do that and reach out like Greg did. Really appreciate you, Greg, for that. And a good day then for a visual dad joke. Yes, let's bring it onto the screen. And have I preloaded it? No, I haven't. I'm seeing Andy's picture of the full moon. How was that for you? The blue moon, known, of course, for obvious reasons, a super blue moon last night. Great picture of it from Andy, which I'll share with you in just a moment. Any more of those? 913-590-303. Andy, it's amazing what you can catch with an iPhone, isn't it? Beautiful picture from you. Any others? 913-590-303. But let's not interrupt ourselves again. And I love it when the comment covers up the punchline, because here we go. For those of you on the podcast, number one, do you know the price of a chimney? Number two says, let me guess, Captain, nothing, because it's on the house. You see, you've already got a dad joke snuck in there before we even get to the punchline. Actually, it's through the roof. Thank you very much for that. There's plenty more. You know there's plenty more where that came from. Hola, bon dia then, Alegria from Filomena, whose tour we'll have a look at now as well. So let's bring that onto the screen. Did I have the frame furniture? I think I lost that during the discussion this morning. I want to share with you the Schist and Berau tour. Music to come, original music from Peter Farry. And now we're going to have a look. We're going to virtually give you a little taster of the Schist Villages and Berau Factory tour in association with Filomena. 6th of October. It's a Friday. It'll be a feel-good Friday. It'll be a Filomena feel-good Friday. It's going to be great fun. Hey, is that when you would ordinarily be on the show there? Okay, so we'll broadcast live from the. Oh, hold on a minute. Yes, I've done that live on air, haven't I? That's not right. I'll have to open that up in a new tab. I think that might be. We didn't think about that, did we, Filomena? That might be. Oh, thanks, Jean, for a moonrise just in from Fusetta as well. Oh, thank you, everybody, on 913-590-303. Just saving that. That's a beauty. A moonrise. So was that? It must be early evening yesterday. Incredible. Thank you for that. Are we back on the right thing? Yes, we are. Is that Filomena Friday, Filomena? Well, it will be in person. Those lucky enough to be coming along and joining you on that trip will have their own personal Filomena Friday. Is that it? No. Where's my jingles gone? Hold on a minute. They will have their very... There you go.
Filomena Friday.
We'll do that on board the bus, and we'll do a bit of live broadcasting. So hopefully we'll have Mrs. M anchoring in the studio, and we'll report back from the trip, or the early part of it anyway. We'll be on the coach. So we'll get Filomena in from Miranda de Corvo. Live from Miranda de Corvo, it's Filomena. And from the bus, it's the Gumpers on the bus. Going round and round. Going yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's have a look then at this fantastic trip that you're putting together for us. There's a really nice touch to included in this that I'll tell you about. Or should I? Filomena, do I tell everybody about that special bit of merch from this? I'll let Filomena decide on that, because she might be wanting to keep her powder dry on that. Friday the 6th of October then, this year. And if you want to get in touch with Filomena, the email address to do that, always trips4brits4 @gmail.com. And on the website here, you will find a WhatsApp alert link as well, which I shall put into the comments right away. So you've got that. Oh, I haven't said hello to Pete yet this morning. Who else is here? Bayer Andre, of course. Pete Portuglish is in. I remember you. Nice discussion. I keep following for not forgetting the English language. I like it. And thank you very much for your kind comments about my cat video, Leela, as well. Mr. S is also in. Good morning. Leslie Smith. I eat fish, chicken, but not meat. However, I eat lots of vegetarian stuff too. We'll be eating vegan tonight, and it's Lebanese food. Lucky you. Oh, and Diane Gomez is here, offering, is it 700,000 euros? I think the chance to get involved in some of that as well. Oh, and Victoria, didn't see you come in. Only watching CNN for Hurricane Idalia moving across where many of my friends and family live in Florida, Georgia, and checking in with them. Well, fair enough. CNN is the fifth column, says T-Duck. And it was lovely to meet you, Ryan and Anna, yesterday at the meetup, who were watching. They're not using CNN to watch the hurricane. They're using their Ring doorbell, an apartment on the 8th floor. Good morning, Mrs. M. I would love a coffee. Sounds great.
I'm just going to water the garden in the nude.
You're going to water the garden. That's going to be very... If you're going to be watering the garden naked, could you drop the shutter? Because I don't think I could bear that whilst I'm trying to... I mean, you know, I would love to watch, but I'm busy at the moment.
It's a very good life, isn't it?
Life is... How can it get any better than this? As we often like to utter. Smash that like button, says T-Duck. I listen to birds in wilderness. And a nice haiku. Is that strictly speaking a haiku this morning from you, James? And bon dia, I listen to the YouTube videos on crafts, which I like. I don't even remember asking the question to which that relates, Leslie Smith. And give it a rest, Diane, honestly. It's one thing, isn't it, to come in and spam the room. But then to start addressing people directly with your spam, we get the message. We literally get the message about you wanting to share 700,000 euros with us. But just do it once, for heaven's sake. Well said, Carl. I wonder what I said well there. Well, thanks, Viv. Anyway, I didn't see you come in either. I had about a dozen mugs I had collected before I moved. Now I just got my original GMP mug. Okay, and we do have a picture of it. Keep those mug shots coming in. Also on 913-590-303. Yeah, I am going to talk about the schist and beryl trip in association with
Philomena Friday.
Okay, 8 a.m. We'll meet for the bus at Caldas It's a trip a little bit different to the usual trips that Philomena organizes, in as much as it's aimed at Silver Coast folks who want to get involved in the unique trips that Philomena creates for people. And there'll be a bus pickup in Caldas Will some people drive and have a couple of days in Caldas and then come on that trip with us so they don't miss out? Bit of FOMO going on there. On the bus at 8, arriving at Miranda de Corvo at around 10 to meet the great Tia Philomena at around 10 o'clock. And then we'll be off and visiting the schist village of Gondramage soon after. The village is structured from a main street that runs up to the limit where the slope allows for construction. From this street, there's a network of narrow, winding alleyways that we feel like we're walking through with curiosity. We're welcomed with a poem by Miguel Turga on a metal plaque in the reception area of the village. Gondramage is distinguished by the specific shade of schist, you say it, which envelops us from head to toe. Even the ground you walk on is an example of the best art of working with that stone, that particular kind of stone, by hand. So there we'll be going to Gondramage. Within its streets, the voice of the people becomes clearer and more inviting. With a remarkable application in schist, the pavement allows the development of an accessible route for people with reduced mobility. In case you are wondering about that, Gondramage is a work of nature's art with man's hand in there, right? There are fine acoustics in the streets of this village that awaken all our senses. Beautifully put, Philomena. That's lovely. Looking forward to just that bit already. I think that's worth a tour alone, going to a schist village. But there's loads more. We will leave Gondramage. We will be driving through, I think, other schist villages and getting a sense of the landscape and the context in which they sit. And we'll be arriving at the factory of Licor Barão. The most famous liqueur in Portugal is Licor Barão, commonly known as Barão. It's a Portuguese liqueur from the Beira region of Portugal, originating in the 19th century. Lovely backstory with the liqueur, which we've talked about on the Wine Club. It is the most consumed alcoholic spirit in Portugal. And we'll be adding to that, I suspect, on the day. So we'll have a lovely time there, departing the Barão shop just half an hour later. We have to be quick about that because we're off to lunch. That's going to be an appetizer for a legendary restaurant by the name of Au Bourgogne, near the castle of Lausanne. We'll be going to Lausanne, everybody. Departure from the restaurant and stopping at some viewpoints at 14:30. So a couple of hours for lunch. That is going to be a lot of fun. And all dietary needs and particular approaches to food, put it like that, vegan, vegetarian, special dietary needs will be catered for. Philomena doing some amazing work behind the scenes to make sure people get the sort of food that they would like to have at quite the restaurant that I think presidents and high-ups use here in Portugal. They have a very esteemed clientele. So departure from the restaurant at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, we'll be visiting the schist village, more shades of schist, the Talashnal, and relaxing there. So that'll be nice, won't it? A nice big dinner. And we'll be wobbling along the lanes, the schist lanes with full bellies. This is, for a long time, the schist village of Serra de Lausanne that has given more visibility and charisma to the whole. So the legendary, we can say, a village of Talashnal, for its size and layout, but also for the many details of the restorations of its houses. And understandably and thankfully, Portugal taking this part of its heritage very seriously. And there's academia, tourism projects, so much devoted, thankfully, to the schist culture of Portugal. It is an unfortunate word in some ways, but I've managed to pronounce it correctly in other ways this morning. Well, in the right way, I think, this morning. Got to be careful with that, though. The houses are decorated with the branches of the vines. The main street follows the slope of the hillside here in Talashnal. Steep path, and from it, steps and alleyways branch out, creating an atmosphere of discovery that everyone likes to explore. I can say schist, but I can't say explore. Waiting for the surprise of a new corner. Beautifully written, Philomena. Discovering this village means plunging into the magical world of the Serra de Lausanne and immersing yourself in the lush vegetation where deer, roe deer, wild boar, and many other species can be seen. Nature reigns here, sensitive and demanding respect, but it also offers countless possibilities for leisure and active sports. Here, you can feel the pulse of the earth and its communion with men when you can see the villages in the distance. Oh, I love this. They seem to have been born from schistous soil. Yes, did that. Naturally, like the trees. And we'll continue with our nature theme this morning with the original music from Peter. In fact, I think I might do that after this. That's a very good segue. And then at 5:30, after we've had a relaxing, leisurely afternoon in Talashnal, we'll get on the bus and we'll reflect on our day and chat with each other, talk to old friends and new friends we've made on the tour, and arrive back in Caldas 12 hours later, 8 p.m. in the evening. So there you go. And let me pop that into the chat just one more time if you're interested in joining us. Oh, yeah, pricing for that. As Philomena said, today is the last day to get the early bird deal. The cost is 95, including the lunch, of course, and all the travel. 95. If you book today, basically, it'll be 85. And if you're booking for two or more, I believe you'll be able to get at least an €80 price for a couple of friends, a couple, whatever, and maybe even further bulk discounts. Maybe it's negotiable with Philomena, but I'm sure you'll agree that's fantastic value. Anyway, book today for the €85 early bird special, which expires today, 31st of August. Would you believe it? Last day of August. Thank you so much, Philomena. Beautifully put together tour there. Really looking forward to that on Friday, the 6th of October. So I think I'm going to load up the music into the cartridge machine. Actually, no, let's take a few comments while I attempt to do that, as well as load up some music. There is a virtual cartridge machine. It's amazing. This tech. Well, I say that now. Let's see if it does remain amazing for me. I think, yep, that's uploading nicely to the cart machine, and we'll give that a spin in just a moment. And I hope you enjoy this beautiful offering from Peter Farry, and I'll give you more of the backstory on that as well while it's playing in the comments on the screen. But let's see if anyone's got anything to say about the trip. Yes, my trips are Portuguese, English, German. You choose. I might have missed something there. Pete, I think Pete is going to be joining us. Oh yeah, here we go. May we meet you at the Beryl factory just for quality control purposes. Excellent. I saw the super full moons this month from my window. I've never seen a moonrise before. Isn't that lovely? So that's a Portuguese first for you. Byron Andrea's in, having a good clear out this morning. Oh, oh, okay. Starting with the playroom, filling the paladin bins. Not a euphemism. Well, yeah, well, thanks for sharing. Give it 5 minutes, kind of having a good clear out. No, the playroom, filling them dumpsters down the street there. Presumably, though, if it's games and toys and you're having a clear out, what you'll do is you'll follow the Portuguese ecosystem and you'll put them by the side of the bins, and people will help themselves. I suspect that's what you'll be doing there, by Andre, whose moon we've yet to see. Thank you very much. Let's keep the surprise. Okay, I'm not gonna spill the beans on that. Come on the trip and find out. Philomena's organised something really special there. We'll watch the rest of the show later. Had a plumbing problem yesterday. Are we talking about clear outs again? In the house, a new gas boiler required. Yikes. New floors. Oh no, plumber coming back at 9:30 to finish the job. Minister of Home Affairs blaming you. Oh dear. What radio do you listen to? Well, of course, Carl Munson, GMP, 31st of August. Well, yeah, I know. It's funny. This looks like radio, doesn't it? But we're live streamers. I don't see us so much in the same league and style as the traditional radio stations. You know, we're breaking new ground here, aren't we? For Antonio, I think Antonio likes a bit of M80. Is it called that because it's full of 80s music, which might be a draw and attraction for some of the gumpers here? Yeah, that question, Philomena, can Pete meet us at the Beryl factory? Good question from Mr. Eston. Yeah, and I think you've already answered that, Philomena. Are your tours in Portuguese only? I think that Mr. S is asking that because he wants them to be in Portuguese. I think you'll learn some Portuguese. Pete says strictly Portuguese and Yiddish. Not true. Not true. All Philomena's tours, he's answering on your behalf here, is Pete. You should definitely go. They're in English and they're always awesome. But you know what? If you want a bit of German in there, if you want a bit of Turkish in there, if you want a bit of American and Canadian in there, Philomena, I'm sure. Oh, you see, look, I knew it. He only wants it to be in Portuguese. So are you joining us, Mr. S? Is that a genuine inquiry based on you'll come if Philomena and others speak to you in Portuguese? I think we can organise that. And a lovely testimonial about Philomena. She is undoubtedly the nicest, not just the nicest person you could hope to meet in Portugal, but she has a cousin in every town. And if not, she's sure to find one. She is just amazing. Isn't that incredible? Thank you for that, Pete. I'm making lots of progress Portuguese-wise. Well, show us in the chat there, Mr. S. You could have asked that question in Portuguese, can't you? Do you want to try that? And testing different bottles to check if the quality is the same, right, at the Beryl factory. Look forward to seeing you there, Pete. I'm sure that'll be fine, but it's Philomena's a call on that, of course. We wish we felt like we were making more progress, says Pete, but we are limited by our intellect and ability. Aren't we all, Pete? The only time in my Portuguese feels like it's improving is when we are full of Beryl. Well, there you go. Mr. S, you might enjoy that. A little turbocharge to your Portuguese after visiting or whilst there in the Beryl factory. I have to restart my Portuguese lessons. It's been a while. There's a declaration of intent right there. Morning to you, Andy. We did indeed, says by Randy. All the stuff magically disappeared in 1 hour. That's leaving the stuff by the dumpster. I love it when that happens. Smooth FM. Of course, Smooth FM for you, Lord Gilchrist. You haven't seen me, Me, Lord Gilchrist, trapped in an apartment in Lisboa. When I drink Barão, says T-Duck, when I drink Barão and speak Spanish, it sounds like Portuguese. Well, there you go. Nice linguistic hack for you there. Good morning, Portugal. Antonio's choice, M80. They play. Oh, sorry, no. Okay, I will take that as you listening to the show. M80 play music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Okay, so it's an 80s sandwich, you might say there. And I love the self-recycling phenomena of Lisboa. Lisbon. Neighbour's apartment was emptied on the calçadas yesterday, all gone this morning. Isn't that fantastic? And I think maybe sometimes we need a WhatsApp alert, don't we? Good stuff over on Marcus de Pombal. Get over there quick. And why tune into a radio station when the white noise is free, eh? Says Pete. What? And you can speak to me in Portuguese all day long if you want, Mr. S. There you go. And Carl, you are magical. Just as you said hi to us, our first IKEA order showed up. Well, and you're welcome if you want to try me on any other deliveries that you've got this morning. I can just, do the magic words and we will see if they turn up at your door. IKEA order. How easy? I've never done that because strangely enough, you might find this. I like to go to IKEA and pick this up. Mrs. M's in the garden already. Excuse me. I like to go to IKEA myself. And I've not had an order delivered. Is that easy to organise? It never used to be back in the day, but I guess they've got it like they have with everything else. They've got it nailed now. I guess the transmission is almost complete. Well, no, we've got another 35 minutes, but I'm not sure that's what you mean. The transmission of IKEA, perhaps, and transformation of your apartment, perhaps, is complete with that delivery. Fantastic. Okay, let's go to Peter Farry now and get some music up for you. I will not be talking during this. This deserves to be listened to. I did describe him as the musical love child of Victoria Wood and Gilbert O'Sullivan. Let me know if you agree with me. Going to play that tune from Peter Farry, The Wood, it's called. I may have misnamed it earlier on. The Wood by Peter Farry, a British musician based in Exeter in Devon, where you will find some beautiful enchanted magical woods, where I think he took his inspiration. Over to you, Peter.
There's a place we go, it's not so far. Friends are all around. Some are tall and some pushed down, deep into the ground. We are visitors, we don't stay long, compared to ancient neighbours. But we like it there and feel so strong, certain and courageous. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. I knew someone, she was never wrong. Like a fool I tried to change her. She danced with me round a Devon tree and soon I was in danger. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. Leaves and branches block my view, walking down this avenue where every destination is unclear. And I will make my living here, though I've heard of open fields and spaces where the water meets the sky. So I'll take my bow and my old guitar and I'll play for Mother Nature. And when the winds of time blow far, I'll return to end my our days here. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. Na na na, na 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 na, na na na, na 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 na, na na na.
Right down to the last sustained piano note there. Great pianist. Play again. I want to know what.
There's a place we go, it's not so.
Let me pause it there. That could have been a nicer fade, couldn't it? But I will play it again at the end of the show. I love that tune, and like John Clark's that we played, I think Pete and John will have met with their mutual friend Katie Whitehouse, whose music I'm also hoping to feature here on the Good Morning Portugal show. These are great tunes, like Wildflowers as well. I've heard it 2 or 3 times, or after I'd heard it 2 or 3 times, I could sing it, and that's the mark of a good and catchy tune, isn't it? In the Wood, not in the Wood. I'll tell you a little bit more about it now. That's Peter Farry. Thank you so much, Peter, for letting us share that on the show, and I will give it another spin at the end of the show as we go into our days around the world, shared around the world, specifically here in Portugal. Peter, thank you so much, and wherever you are in the world, let us know, because Peter, I'm sure, would like to know that he's got international listeners to his new tune, about which he says, I'm excited to let you know about my new song, The Wood, which will be available on major platforms tomorrow, September the 1st. I wrote The Wood back in 2019 during my master's course. When I perform it, audiences often join in with the chorus, making one of my most popular tunes. Recording it became a priority after recovering from illness last year. Thankfully, a friend offered the perfect attic space with great acoustics for capturing the vocals. I then worked on the arrangement and production. So there you go, a bit of the backstory there, and the cover as we put up on the screen whilst you were listening there. The Wood. And the song holds deep meaning for me, says Peter, inspired by the ancient woodlands of Devon, where I live. It explores our relationship with nature, which outlasts us and provides us shelter. It also touches on the fragility of our partnership and on life's uncertainties. Ultimately, it's about finding comfort in the realization that we're more than just individuals. We're part of a bigger story. Isn't that amazing? I love that. Thank you so much, Peter. Your poetry, your music, your sensitivity, your consciousness shared with us there. What a lovely sentiment to be sharing. And if you would like to get that on your Spotify playlist, you can click that button, that link that I've just put into the chat. Because Peter says, and I've not seen this before, if you're a Spotify user and want to support my work, please consider pre-saving the song. And you can pre-save over on Spotify with that link. Once it's released, I'll share streaming and purchase links for The Wood. So not available yet even. We've got Peter there sharing that with us as a preview before it's released officially globally tomorrow, the 1st of September 2023. Cheers, Peter. And we will play that again after the show, or as the climax of the show this morning. And there's the link on the screen if you want to find out a bit more yourself about Peter Farry and reach out. Maybe, wouldn't that be a lovely thing to say to Peter? I heard your tune in Portugal this morning. Absolutely love it. Good luck with the tune. Sounds like, Peter, first, not a review exactly, but first thoughts coming in. Sounds like a perfect accompaniment to Garvo's nudist naturist tree hugging walks. Still worry about the splinters though. I'm sorry to say that I started that scurrilous rumor, which is not true. Garvo does like a bit of wood for sure. He loves to be in nature, in the hills and trees and woods around forests around Alviagra there. In central Portugal, but he has never gone naked as far as I know, or he's never said that to me, and that was just something that I got carried away in the spur of the moment with a particular kind of image which now lives happily, or maybe somewhat uncomfortably in Peter's mind. I haven't been to IKEA here yet, But Homa has similar stuff on a smaller scale. Yeah, and what's the other one? Jom as well might be another option if you're looking for one. If you don't like going to IKEA, if you don't like to lose parts of your life spent trying to get out of the place or being distracted into buying things you never knew you needed, try Jom and Homa. Pode ser for Mr. S, juntos no dia 24 de setembro no Festival da Xerovia e almoçar conosco na Serra da Estrela. There you go, Mr. S, especially for you. How about that this morning? And as I said, we do seem to have an environmental and woody theme this morning. We'll play the tune again, The Wood. And let's go straight to that article in the Portugal Resident about citizens citizenizing. They are mobilizing against what they're calling the giant risk of eucalyptus. So let's have a look at that, as well as a few other news items that we can find in the Portugal News and the Portugal Resident. So what do you make of this then? First offering of its kind from the English-speaking Portugal News sources. It's true. It is fair to say, yes, that's what you just said there. I'm not going to read it out, Lord Gilchrist. You, Peter, have we lost rows of chairs now? Or if they come back as somebody else, maybe we'll have a big reveal moment like Scooby-Doo when we pull off the mask. And there they, oh, it's you! Why? Citizens mobilize against giant risk of eucalyptus threatening Portugal's forests then, says Natasha Don, or reports Nasha Don. Nasha Don! Oh, I've never thought of her. Some of her harder-hitting stories might earn her the title of Nasha Don. But let's call her Natasha Don for this one. Claim today's forests are explosive. Today's forests are explosive at the service of the cellulose sector. The cellulose sector, aka the paper industry, little more than a month since the country's largest pulping company has called, can you believe it? They've called for an increase in the number of eucalyptus plantations in Portugal. Citizens are mobilizing now for just the opposite, a sustainable forest of the future. Sign me up. I'm up for this. And we've heard the theme tune, really, haven't we, as we gird our loins against cellulose sector. One that is not explosive at the service of the cellulose industry, they say. Various groups have scheduled protests up and down the country for Sunday based on a manifesto against forest fires and the role of the cellulose industry in eucalyptus monocultures in Portugal. This is an important article, I would say. Says Lusa, the protest organized for Lisboa, Porto, Coimbra, Braga, Odmira, Vila Nova de Poiares, and Serta, argues that Portugal needs fewer eucalyptus trees and to build forests and forest areas that are resilient to climate change, that don't just serve the interests of big business. Well, there's a thing, a future that doesn't just serve the interests of big business and their buddies in government. Did I just say that out loud? But conserve soil and water in the face of and threat of desertification. The only desertification we want in Portugal is, a nice arroz doce or pudim at the end of our meal. That's the only desertification we want around here. What we're demanding is a diverse inhabited forest that has these means of combat and surveillance all year round. Nature wardens and watchmen, foresters. I'm tearing up at the sound of this. This is how it used to be, isn't it? Notions of conserving water and soils to avoid the threat of climate change with species that are suitable for each territory and that are also related to diverse economic activities that allow people to earn an income in rural areas. Oh my goodness. Beatriz Javier, a member of the steering committee. We need you on the show, Beatriz. A member of the steering committee behind the protest told the state news agency also. It's interesting, actually, from what you were saying earlier, T-Duck, about freedom of the press. And state news agency has an Orwellian ring to it, doesn't it? Who doesn't like an Orwellian ring first thing in the morning? I don't. According to Javier, the areas of abandoned eucalyptus in the country destroy the territory. Yeah, because once they've had what they want, they just hugger off, don't they? Leaving these areas of abandoned eucalyptus in the country, destroying the territory, accelerating desertification, and are precisely the opposite of the goal of a biodiverse and resilient landscape, which can withstand shocks like major fires, and which does not pose a threat to those who live near it. Now, those of you, I know people are split on their feelings about climate change and all that goes on behind the idea, the concept, the ideology, if you like, of climate change. Here's something you can be united about, right? Who doesn't? I mean, I would think everyone in our community would agree. I mean, even if they're not excited about it, they would at the very worst be indifferent to a biodiverse and resilient landscape which can withstand shocks like major fires and doesn't pose a threat to those who live near it. On that account alone, this is a great idea. And I want to read again what Beatrice is proposing here. And I want her on the show. And I would like us to get behind this. If we have a project which we can throw ourselves behind, that's the kind of, well, it's not trans-political because it's deeply political in many ways, but politics needn't get in the way of the demand of a diverse inhabited forest that has these means of combat and surveillance all year round. And that's combating and surveillance of fires, of course, not other things. Nature wardens and watchmen, watch people if you prefer, foresters, notions of conserving water and soils to avoid the threat of climate change, with species that are suitable for each territory, yes, check, and that are related to diverse economic activities that allow people to earn an income in rural areas. I'm all for it. The aim of Sunday's protest, have we missed these or are they about to happen? When was this? This is the dateline, 30th of August. So this coming Sunday, these are the protests. Are pushing for a forest that isn't abandoned, that either you know who it belongs to or through a forest engineer. Okay, you know it belongs to a forest register, I beg your pardon, or it has to be the responsibility of the state. Wow, the state has to take responsibility, she added, suggesting the government has already proven itself incapable of reacting by keeping everything the same after the tragedies of 2017. Now, here is where I find it interesting. Often people are dismayed by how governments react to things. And then the next thing they call for is the government to take action and do something about it. Yes, I don't see any harm in that, but I think we need a transcendent strategy as well, don't we? And in this instance, what immediately comes to mind are partnerships, a different kind of commercial partnership or a joint initiative with the corporations, government, but more importantly, people's cooperatives, people starting associations that can be supported by, but not dominated by the government, the state and corporations who oversee this. And not certain people who are buying up loads of land around the world for their own benefit, but buying up of land for the joint benefit and for the benefit of the planet herself, you could say, and overseen by cooperatives and committees of people who can subscribe or are driven by the values spoken about by Beatrice here. At least, I mean, even if you don't like the sound of that, it's got to be better than corporations with the sole aim of just turning the place into a desert so they can make more money for their shareholders whilst selling us loads of printer paper and toilet paper. I'm sure we've got better ways of meeting that need without destroying the countryside of Portugal. The protest manifesto has been compiled by around 60 people from all walks of life and ages. There you go. People working together, calling for a citizen uprising. Yay! Against the giant risk that Portugal is running as a country in the face of the climate crisis with an explosive forest at the service of the cellulose industry. In a statement being widely shared all over social media, the group behind the initiatives insists that those responsible for the situation today will have to be held to account. Yay! We have to hold the cellulose companies that brought us this far, namely the Navigator Company, the Altri Florestral, responsible, as well as the governments that rolled out the carpet for them, from all parties, that is. They didn't stop them and handed them the future of our country. We can't accept this any longer. The pulping companies have to pay for the destruction of the past and the present, at which point they whistle and point towards their B Corp registration and probably want to give us a bit of greenwashing. I mean, fair enough. They might be incensed by this idea and demand to come on the show and put the record straight. Navigator, Altri Florestral, you're welcome. We can't accept this any longer. This statement continues. Thank you, Mrs. M. The pulping companies have to pay for the destruction of the past and the present. We have to de-eucalyptize Portugal remove, 700,000 hectares of eucalyptus forest. How big is that in football pitches, everybody? Which corresponds to the areas abandoned where eucalyptus has grown out of control this decade. Well, I didn't know about, it makes complete and obvious sense, doesn't it, when you hear that? I mean, what does happen to eucalyptus after it's been used by these companies? When they abandon the plantations, guess which tree dominates? It's going to be the eucalyptus, isn't it? And they want to transform these areas into a resilient forest, like the Basako forest, right? The Basako Palace forest. Go take a look. It looks like a more natural native forest. I know they've introduced some species there, but that also can be done sensitively and intelligently, can't it? What's up with us? That can cope with the hotter, drier future that the climate crisis has produced. We have to do this to prevent a desert. The perennial discussion against eucalyptus following devastating wildfires reignited literally this summer in the wake of the Odimera fires. The Lisbon protest is due to start at 7 p.m. at Largo de Estefania. I would like to get some sort of coverage of that from where it will march to the Institute for Nature Conservation and Forests, the ICNF, and the headquarters of the Navigator Company, Portugal's premier cellulose manufacturer. The company whose CEO said in July that it needs more. That's daring and bold, isn't it? We'll see what happens when we say we need more eucalyptus plantations in order to become sustainable. Huh? Is that the CEO of? I'd be interested. Genuinely, I'd be interested in their thinking that has them demand for more eucalyptus plantations in order to become more sustainable. Is that for their company's profits to become more sustainable, I wonder? In Porto, the protest will take place at 3 p.m. in front of the Palacio de Cristal in Odimera, Beja district. It begins at 7 p.m. in the Alcaix Bar, marching on to the town hall, and in Sertã, Castelo Branco district. The initiative will take place at 5 p.m. in the Almeida de Carvalho, and in Vila Nova de Poiares, I think it is Vila Nova de Poiares, isn't it? District of Coimbra. The protest is due to start at 5 p.m. in front of the town hall, and in Coimbra at 5:30 at Casa Azul, and in the Chupal National Forest. In the Chupal National Forest at Casa Azul. The timing and location of the Braga event is still to be confirmed. Great work, Natasha Don. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. That is the citizens mobilizing against the giant risk of eucalyptus, threatening Portugal's other native forests, of course. Amazing. Thank you very much for that. We may go back to the papers in just a moment. Let's see what you've been saying about this. The order from IKEA was super easy. It took 2 days, €12, and straight to the door. If you buy a lot of stuff and don't have a car, it's a lot easier than getting an Uber. Yeah, I imagine an Uber driver seeing you stuff their vehicle full of IKEA stuff is not entirely happy with that. And we've still got a picture of the supermoon to come from Anne by Rondre, and we've got Suze's. We've got a poster from Suze as well. We've got, thank you very much, 4-day Festa coming, as well as, going back to what Chris was asking about how do you find out about things in Portugal? Well, events and festas and that sort of thing, you find out here as well, it turns out, as best as we can report them and via our Gumper map. Fancy popping this on the Gumper map as well, Suze, this morning. Morning to you, Brab, as well. Thanks for joining us. So I've got a moonrise. I've got the blue supermoon last night, and we've got that information about a 4-day festa coming up. Just in case you haven't had enough festa action, hemp says, that's the thing, isn't it? Hemp is I remember writing about this at Positive News when I used to work there. Hemp is certainly the wonder plant. And if I may say so, BS, Bananas Like James, we still face this same challenge, don't we? Let's consider 2 scenarios. We switched to hemp. The hemp, the cellulose industry, switch to hemp or diversify into hemp. They're likely to do the same again, aren't they? They'll want to grow on an industrial scale. I don't suppose they'll be interested in this picture of native indigenous forests with people making a modest living from being there with, watchmen and women in the forests and wardens and a forest-based culture economy. Wouldn't it be great to return to that as a possibility? And whilst You can imagine, can't you, an executive of a corporation saying, yeah, we're working on hemp. Good call, Banana Slug. Maybe you'd like to come along to our event where we're launching our first hemp research institute. Next thing you know, we've got monoculture and domination, corporate domination of growing hemp. These industrialists don't seem to be able to help themselves in their lopsided pursuit of profit and their own agendas. Anyway, Solar Life, message to you from Filomena Tomac. Filomena, especialidad, really, na zona de Margarita. Someone's got big tomatoes, and the Festival of Tomatoes is in Santiago de Cacén. I'm wondering, I've seen this on signs. I want to say Cacén, because it's not got a cedilla, but is that because it's been left out there? Between 7th and 9th of September, see if it fits you. There you go. With somebody with an interest in tomatoes of all kinds and shapes that might like to pop along to that. I think I might have missed something in that some earlier conversation on that earlier in the chat. Masculine tomatoes, I think we're talking about. Yes, okay, I see where this is going. Remember, tomach are a masculine word, so it's osh tomach. A lot of great and amusing vocabulary being taught, I think. But you'd get the firemen to relax. What's that? I'm missing a lot here. Please help me with some context, somebody. Sarah, say good morning to you. Yes, indeed. Now, I want to do a few quick quiz question resolutions over the Portugal quiz. We'll do today's quiz, and actually I think that's probably enough for news for now, isn't it? We'll go over to the quiz in just a moment. News of a different kind. It'll be our first time doing the tour. This is Sarah, who's doing the Route 66, so we're starting from zero knowledge. You've given us wonderful stuff. That's what happens at learnaboutportugal.com. Sarah did ask the question, and we'll have a look at it in just a moment. Can anyone help with the Route 66? We'll be cycling it soon. Antonio, right in there. Ray Thompson, my question is burning wood bad for the climate after nature does it naturally? I'm sure there's much nuance in that question. It's about balance, is it not? Looking forward to tonight's webinar. Cheers. Thanks for that reminder. Be hanging out with Daniel Reyes and Holborn Assets talking about the golden visa. Last chance, I think. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train, but the end of the tunnel is coming, as well as the light that recent kerfuffle about the golden visa has afforded people. Okay. Pete, don't perpetuate the notion that hemp contains THC like marijuana. It doesn't. And believe it or not, some people might actually believe you. I think there are different kinds, aren't there, of hemp that can be grown. And we used to do it, didn't we? Before the great big propaganda happened, what was it? The don't smoke the jazz cigarette or something, whatever happened. Fear the reefer man or whatever that campaign was called. Hemp was every day. Hemp rope is made from hemp, wasn't it? It was an everyday product until it was sidelined and marginalized by the corporations we've been talking about this morning. I'm sorry if that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I think there are people who would attest to that. Pete, James, possibly T-Duck among you, who might know about what happened with this and the trashing of hemp. Hemp grows, excuse me a minute. I've been talking a lot this morning, haven't I? Hemp grows so easily, says James. Farmers could easily add it to their crop rotation and reduce the need for corporate factory production. Cheers, mate. Thank you for that. And there are massive plantations here in Fundão. Yes, I have mixed with people who've had that as a startup idea, and the medical applications of marijuana, actually. But we're talking about different things here, aren't we? There are massive plantations here in Fundão, where there are at least 5 stands at the Fundão Agricultural Fair, hemp growing there. And 1 acre of hemp, James knows a bit about this, replaces 4 acres of trees for paper production. So you can even use it for paper, as well as all the other things it's good for. That's the great thing about GMP. You get the context that is often buried in social media. Thanks, guys. Well, absolute pleasure. Didn't know we'd done that this morning. Confusing, Carl, as on the website is showing changes in Portuguese housing. Is that about the golden visa? I mean, we're going to be, we'll have a broad brush look So tune in anyway, Gary. And of course, you'll always get the opportunity to ask questions after we turn the mics off. That's how it works. We do a first part of the webinar at 7:30 every Thursday. There's an Expats Portugal webinar, which I host. And we'll have the mics on recorded bit where the speakers get a chance to unfold their presentation, conversation, and tell us what they need to tell us. I field questions from the audience during that live section. We stop the recording, and then people who sign up for the webinars, and I'll give you a link through which to do that. People who sign up get to ask questions of the speakers there and then, whilst we're not live on air, and it won't be recorded. You get to ask your more personal questions. And then, of course, you can do the same in the Dream Team session, which is even broader. So anything you've got, and the link is on the screen now to sign up at Expats Portugal. I think a lot of people will recommend Expats Portugal here. Certainly, if only one of the benefits is to get a discount on EI, Gilda's, EIEIO on Gilda's professional services. But you get so many benefits signing up with Expats Portugal, and you can do that through that link, if you will. We are affiliated right there. So, and the response RSVP. Okay, we'll definitely talk about it. Holborn Assets will be there. Daniel will be there. They are Golden Visa experts. And of course, because they've been watching the Golden Visa situation, that's all within the context and framework of the housing, the Mais Habitation. AL will come into it. Whether or not the government's going to confiscate your property and rent it out will come into it. Gary, be there. I'll see you there. Look at that. The first American flag was made of hemp until some rascal came along and smoked it, right? Hemp is a fantastic natural material. There you go. An engineer says so. You would need a cool 3 million to start hemp farming here, as you need licenses and approval. I wonder what's going on there. That could mean that only extremely wealthy corporations can afford to do it, thus putting an end to such talk of small rural livelihoods. See a pattern here. Solar Life, from James to you, understood that. Hopefully that would be part of the whole debate and the effort to replace eucalyptus. The political side. People have got to take these things. I mean, as well as talking to government, I think we do have to do other things, don't we, alongside talking to governments and corporations, because they do like to steer things in a certain direction. I think we need some people power, don't we? We need associations and cooperatives, of course, for which Portugal is famous. This people power is in the DNA here. It can happen. It could happen. And what an amazing place to do it, the Portuguese interior. I am inspired. As well as sharing with you what seems to be bad news this morning, I am inspired by that possibility. I really am. I do have a love affair with Central Portugal that began when I first visited in 2007. And I would love to see a renaissance of rural life and reverse this trend of, it's not just a diversification through eucalyptus, is it, of the landscape. It's a desertification of people as well. People are moving, of course. 60% of people in Portugal live in the big cities and the coast. And that picture is set to continue with our current trends and trajectories, isn't it? Unless we interfere, if you like, and do something a little bit different. 9:56. It wasn't meant to be like this. I was meant to be sharing with you at least one Portugal quiz question. Stop sharing that, Carl, and share something else. Hemp is used for ship's rope. Of course it was. And I imagine some of it was used on Vasco da Gama's fleet. So we've got that reference point too. Let's bring onto the screen the Portugal quiz. At least the question for today, if not other days. Has anyone signed up yet? Over at Learn About Portugal. We can hear a ka-ching if you sign up and you want to support the Good Morning Portugal community and what we're doing here to the tune of $10 a month. You can do that, and we might even hear a ka-ching as somebody does that. What fun we had listening out for a ka-ching on the Good Morning Portugal show from would-be supporters, or actually those who've converted themselves to actual supporters. $10 a month if you'd like to support what we're doing. We are crowdfunded. We're community contributed. Okay, today's question then. Can you see this on the screen yet? Yes, you can. There you go. I love the GIFs over there, as you can see. Portugal quiz today then, Thursday, the 31st of August. What is pica-pau? Hola, bom dia. Pick a what now? Pica-pau. Is pica-pau a Portuguese potpourri, like this young lady is sharing with you? Is it a specialty bread? See what I did there? Pica-pau. Is it something Portuguese children say, as this child is doing when they're playing war or with toy guns? Do they say pick-a-pow, pick-a-pow? Is it a meal of meat and pickles like that on the screen there right now? That looks delicious, doesn't it? No, Carl. You have to have a calorie-controlled portioned breakfast. Or is it, as Mr. S is suggesting? Actually, by the way, let me just clarify. I am asking you: is it roasted woodpecker? Because I can imagine that. I don't think it'll be on the menu for our schist and Beryl trip. I'm not asking if it's a woodpecker. I am asking if it's roasted woodpecker. And there's a beautiful pecker right there. Who doesn't like to see a beautiful pecker first thing in the morning? There you go. You're welcome. That's the Learn About Portugal quiz. Should we have a look in the last few minutes at some of the other quiz questions and resolve them? Sarah, there you can see asking that question. Know anything about the N2? Well, built in the 1940s. This is yesterday's question. Portugal's Route 66, real name EN2, winds its way from Chaves to Faro. Is it 45 miles long? Is it 450 miles long? Is it 4,500 miles long? So we had 6 votes, all for the correct answer. And do you know what? No, I won't do that now because we've got other questions. But yeah, I've just voted and validated that as the correct answer. Open to further validation, accreditation by quiz masters and the Guinness Book of Records, but we'll go with that for now. Frank's question last Monday was a corker. We have people on the edge of their seats waiting for the answer to this. I love the picture. Look at that. What is Portugal's national animal? Is it the Iberian wolf? Is it the Iberian lynx? Is it the rooster? People think it's the rooster, don't they? Is it the red deer or is it the black pig from which the wonderful porco secretos come from, or porco preto? It was, of course, the Iberian wolf. That is, strictly speaking. And Antonio knew, did he not, that that was the right answer, as did Virginia, who guessed there. The rooster, I understand why you're saying that. It's like Portugal's national character, which, of course, is an animal. But the true national animal is the Portuguese wolf. One more, then. Oh, given that Philomena's here and gave me this beautiful item here, I don't think we answered the question. There are quite a few of these hanging there if you still want to pop in and have a guess and a learn for yourself at learnaboutportugal.com. What is this? What's that for? Thank you very much, Philomena. It's beautiful. And there's one of those handmade, locally made things which could be part of a rural economy. It is for the cooking of chorizo, of course. Yes, a roasting chorizo. Does it have a name? I asked. The chorizo. Oh, look, there's a lovely little video there. The chorizo is set on top. Some alcohol or aguardente is poured into the reservoir below, and then it is set alight. You might have seen this at some restaurants or a barbecue. That is normally called chorizo asado, but in the Azores, they still call it chorizo a bombero, fireman style chorizo for obvious reasons. There you go. There's a little bit of a sampling. Oh, and there's a sausage doing a workout. That's me, that is, at the gym. Looking lean and slightly oiled and pumping iron. Thank you very much for being with us today. We'll play Peter's tune soon after we've said goodbye. We've got a couple of images to share, of course, as well. Let me just remove the Learn About Portugal quiz for today and share with you Andy's wonderful blue moon last night, captured on an iPhone. Aren't we lucky to live in times where we can take pictures like that? Our ancestors would look at that and be quite afraid, I think, of how we managed to do that. We also have a moonrise from Jean. Thank you, Jean, so much for this. Very beautiful. And we also have a Festa announcement. Is that really the moon glowing in the sky there? Jean, what did you say about that? Thank you so much for that. Moonrise Fuzetta. That's Fuzetta. And we also have this announcement of upcoming Festa action. Thank you very much, Suze, for this. Popping it onto the screen now. What's this? How many days? A 4-day Festa. I'm exhausted just looking at it. There you go. Vargeia de Meruj. Festas em Louvor do Santíssimo Sacramento. That's happening over Suze's way. and a lovely view of the street. I love these as well, the banners that go across the street. Just saving that for you now. So that'll be the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of Setembro. In that part of the woods, central Portugal, near the Serra da Estrela range. And here's the street advertising for it. This, Chris, is how you find out what's going on. You drive about and you see a sign across the street. Santissimo Sacramento, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th at Várzea de Maruj. Grandiosas festas, espectaculo! Thank you very much for being here this morning. We'll play Peter's tune again after those last comments, including the Barcelos rooster is one of our most known symbols. There you go, along with Zepovino character. And why not the Caldash toy? Have I got a picture of that somewhere? I think I do, don't I? Yes, you may have noticed it on the Caldash Terrenia reference on the Berão and Schist Villages tour. What I'm worried about is which orifice you drink out of those, the Caldash toy. Those three remarkable symbols, but the Portuguese animal is the wolf, would you believe? I'm sure that you've learnt something today, and that might be it. And if not that, there are many other things that we've covered today, and we'll entertain you now. I've got a feeling I've forgotten to include something. But anyway, we've always got tomorrow, haven't we? We'll be back here tomorrow on... is it? Yes, of course. Feel Good Friday tomorrow. Having some fun on the show tomorrow, and we for a change. And we'll so we'll be back tomorrow at 8:30. And in the meantime, playing a beautiful tune for you. This is Peter Farry, UK musician. In case you weren't here earlier on, and I'll include the last few comments that we didn't manage to get around to on the screen while this is playing. I'm going to take you back to the beginning. I think it already started playing, didn't it? So I might have to do a little bit of jiggery poke.
Friends are all...
I don't know how to go back to the beginning, so I'm just going to load it again into the cartridge machine, and it will play from the beginning for you. The Wood by Peter Farry, everyone. You've been amazing this morning. Take care. Bye for now. Have a great day. Abraços, beijinhos. Here is Peter Farry for you with The Wood. Out around the world tomorrow. You can buy it tomorrow. You can get the preview link clicked that I shared earlier on for Spotify. Over to you, Peter. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
There's a place we go, it's not so far. Friends are all around. Some are tall and some pushed down deep into the ground. We are visitors, we don't stay long compared to ancient neighbors, but we like it there and feel so strong, certain and courageous. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. I knew someone, she was never wrong. Like a fool I tried to change her. She danced with me round a Devon tree, and soon I was in danger. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. Take me down to the wood and I'll sing you a love song. Take me down to the wood tonight. Leaves and branches block my view, walking down this avenue where every destination is unclear. And I will make my living here, though I've heard of open fields and spaces where the water meets the sky. So I'll take my bow and my old guitar and I'll play for Mother Nature. And when the winds of time blow far, I'll return to end my days here. Take me down